What's going on, everybody? So, as you can see from the title, this is a review of Superman and Lois, the entirety of season four. Now, season four consists of 10 episodes, which is, I think, a 12 episode downgrade, if I believe. I think Superman and Lois uh, was shorter than the previous season, if I'm right. Because I think the previous season had like 20 something episodes, and then uh yeah, with season three had like uh what 20 episodes. Oh no, season three had 13. So we went from having 13 just to 10. So we lost 10, 3 episodes. Well, I thought I could have sworn they had longer episodes than this though, which is weird. Okay, yeah, like season two was 15 and was 15 episodes, and then season one was what, 15 episodes too. Okay, so they the first two seasons was 15 episodes apiece. Then they got shorter. They went to 13 episodes in season three, and then in season four we went down to 10. So they knew they was winding down with this show. Um, so we're not gonna talk about every episode of the 10 episodes of season four. Instead, I'm gonna give you a generalized, summarize what I think of each episode. Now, episodes 1 through 10, in a sense, were basically good to great. There was no mediocre. No, every episode wasn't either mediocre or average. They all ranged from good to great. Um, no episode was perfect because it's hard to make things perfect. Um, but everything, I would say majority rise. If I had to give a ranking for every episode from 1 to 10, I would say every episode was between 8 and a 9 for pretty much every episode. Um, or no, at most a 9.5. I would say that some episodes were an 8, some episode was a 9, and some episodes was a 9.5, almost a 10. Especially the scenes with Lex Luthor. And for the guys that don't know, they recast Lex Luthor because this show Superman and Lois takes place in an alternate universe. It doesn't take place in the actual main universe of um, the Arrowverse. So therefore, they had to have a new person play Lex Luthor, and this Lex Luthor is played by the guy who played Abraham in The Walking Dead, and he did a terrific job. Now I would say that if we rate in character wise, he was a perfect 10. He was a perfect Lex Luthor. He nailed the menacing and intimidating factor, and also the brilliance of Lex Luthor. I would say he's tied for me at least. For when it comes to live action Lex Luthor, he's tied with Michael Rosenbaum, Michael Rosenbaum, Michael Rosenbaum, as the best live action Lex Luthor. Now, if you don't know who Michael Rosenbaum is, he played the first ever live action Lex Luthor, or I wouldn't say the first ever live action Lex Luthor, but he played the live action Lex Luthor on the what will become the CW/WB version of Smallville, which is the first Superman show they had on the WB/CW. That came out in like what, 2000, 2001, and he played Lex Luthor on there, and that was, for me personally, I consider him like the best Lex Luthor. Actually, I kind of consider Tom Welling as almost the best Superman too. Like him and Henry Cavill is like my two best live action Superman. So, but with that being said, Tyler would be the third best Superman in my opinion. Um, so season four, in a sense, is about they combine two different stories together: the death and rebirth the death of, and I forgot what I know the death of Superman is one comic. Then I forgot what they called the comic where Superman comes back to life. But basically, that's they combine both of them stories, which what goes along with the thing because they combine two characters into one. Now, what I mean by that is Doomsday. Doomsday is two characters combined into one, like they did in Batman versus Superman, where Zod and Doomsday became they combined they made Doomsday out of Zod's body, so it's basically Zod and Doomsday. But where in Superman and Lois in this universe, Doomsday is the creation from another Superman villain, Bizarro, which is weird because they show you that this is Bizarro Superman because Doomsday has the Superman insignia burned on his skin. So to explain how they did this, we had to go back to season three. Season three's main villain for the most majority of the season was Bruno Mannheim, the leader of Intergang. And the way how this version differs from the comic books is that this version is not so much of a villain, but more of a tragic hero surrounded by a god who could save the planet. So what I mean by this is Bruno Mannheim, he doesn't really hate Superman. He more so just hates the fact that Superman can't see that it's not just about saving the world from these larger than life threats. It's also about helping the small communities and maybe helping them uplift them too. Because he did explain that his whole thing with Superman was the people of the suicide slums waited for Superman to come save them, but he never came. And Bruno Mannheim, both in season three and season four, the reason why I mention this because Superman learned a lesson between season three and four, which is that he in his attempt to save the world, Bruno Mannheim was right about one thing. Bruno Mannheim might have went about it the wrong way, but he was right about one thing. He has overlooked the small details like the communities and the people that are suffering in these communities and communities that need help, like the people who need homeless shelters and hunger centers. Like it was stuff like that that Bruno Mannheim opened his eyes to, and it will come into play. The reason why I mention that because that plays a big part in the final episode of season four. So basically to come back to season four, Bruno Mannheim stole Bizarro's body using his power of money. Um, he stole his he used his power of money to steal stuff from the DOG. One of them being a serum and whatchamacallit Bizarro's body. And experimenting on Bizarro's body, they perfected the serum to be able to bring people back from the dead, using Superman's blood. And that's basically what I meant by serum. With Superman's blood, they turned his blood into a serum, using and experimenting on Bizarro, and they found a way to actually revive people, and it works on humans too, but it has a side effect. When it comes to humans, it will bring you back to life, but temporarily. And then whatever it killed you will start taking effect again. You will just go back to being dead, unless you get another dose of the serum. Something that they play with, an idea that they play with in Smallville when they used the guy from the Vampire Diaries who played Damon. They had a similar storyline like that where it was a serum that could bring people back from the dead, though it had a nasty side effect of wearing off and the person going back to being dead. Um, but the point I'm trying to make here is that Bruno Mannheim did something. He while doing something right and making a serum because he just wanted to save his wife Pia from cancer. But the thing is, in his hubris of making this serum, he accidentally brought Bizarro Superman back to life, but albeit with a nasty side effect of his own. See, Bizarro Superman now was more animalistic than normal, but after a while he was starting to come to himself and remember who he was. Um, but here is where Lex Luthor come in because he never found out about Bizarro Superman and being back to life, but or he kind of did, but didn't like that. It wasn't like part of his main story. They say that for Lex Luthor. So Bruno Manhattan plays into the fact that him and his wife framed Lex Luthor for a crime because his wife Pia, I can't remember her supervillain name, but she's also from the comics, but she basically gonna make sound waves, and she could actually make the sound wave projectiles that could hit you like a bullet. Um, but most importantly, she could change her voice using this to mimic other people's voices. Though people didn't catch on that there was this weird noise in the background, and people just thought, "Oh, okay, that's just some weird interference." But we hear Lex Luthor's voice. It wasn't until Lois and Superman went up against Pia and her powers, they realized that sound is not some type of interference, but that is the sound, her powers making the sound waves. So, with that being said, they realized Lex Luthor really was framed like he claimed. Lois went and did a redaction saying that she was wrong and that Lex Luthor wasn't guilty for the crime that I said he was because he was actually being framed by Pia Mannheim. Thus, we got season 4 because, and well, in the most of season 3, where he finds Bizarro Superman, and he finds the unique thing is that every time you kill Bizarro Superman, he comes back stronger, i.e., he's becoming Doomsday because that's Doomsday's whole thing. So between the end of season to the end of season 3, that's how we get the full look of how we get Doomsday. Then in between that and the season 4, throughout season 4, we get more and more until we get to the final episode where he looks like the fully, you know, horned and bones of Dooms with the bones and everything of Doomsday. And he looks better than the Doomsday from Superman and from the Superman versus Batman movie too. Um, but the season 4 is more so, I would say, is Superman is where Superman plays like a secondary character in this season. Like he's more like even though it's like the show suggests it's like him and Lois and then everybody in between. It's more so just him, and is in this season at least, this was more about Lois and Lex. So this season could have been called Lois and Lex because they were like the main focus of the Superman was just a byproduct. Because for the first time ever in at least that I know of, maybe it happened in the comics. I could be wrong. Yeah, it could have happened in the comics before, but Superman was not the main focus of Lex Luthor's anger and obsession. His obsession was with Lois. And it wasn't until Superman, spoilers if you haven't seen the show, see season 4, spoilers in season 4, Superman's identity gets revealed to the entire world. So the whole world knows that Clark Kent is Superman. And basically, him and Superman, Lois, and his children become celebrities. Jonathan gets his powers, so forth and so forth. So now he got 2 superpower sons. Um, but yeah, so his obsession wasn't with Superman. It was with Lois, and then they kind of made it comic book accurate like towards the end where he was trying to kill Superman and whatnot. But he was really obsessed with Lois. Killing Superman was, even though he was obsessed with it a little bit, it was more so just to hurt Lois because he wanted to hurt Lois. And he by the end, Lex Luthor had lost all sense of reason and just basically went insane. He wanted to kill all of them. But with the Bruno Manheim part that came and played to the end, Superman, after they defeat Lex Luthor and all that, Superman realized that at that point, and he admits to Bruno Manheim that he was right, and that they wanted to help not only Suicide Slums but everywhere around the world, thanks to Bruno Manheim, which Bruno Manheim was happy about because he realized that even though he went about it the wrong way, his point got across to Superman that he needs to not just only help the world and save the city or whatever from disasters or supervillains, but also just from the everyday struggle that the world presents. And he has the power to do so. He has the voice to do so. And since everybody know who he is, he was able to do that even more. but yeah, overall the entirety of season 4 was good. I enjoyed it. The final episode was good and emotional towards the end. Um, I won't spoil how the show ends, but the showrunner it's the reason why they do the death of Superman in this season because it kind of harkens to that. But yeah, so it sets up a future where if we would have got a show, if we would have got like I guess if we would have went on for more season, we wouldn't have got this type of ending. But it does set up a future where his children and Steel and all of them take over from him. So it sets up the future well, but unfortunately, this is the final season and the end of the Arrowverse. As this was the last Arrowverse show to be airing on the CW. Who would have thought that the final Arrowverse show would be Superman and not either Green Arrows or the Flash? It was actually Superman and Lois, which is itself a spinoff of Supergirl. So yeah, and in its entirety, I enjoyed the whole series, but season 4 was a pleasant treat because I love Lex Luthor. I love the stories that they told with Lex Luthor, how they ended season 3 and the entirety of season 4 was just fleshing. They used the parts of season 3, the ending parts of season 3, and the entirety of season 4 to flesh out the character very well. Even for 10 episodes, they did it very well. And even though it was kind of rushed, and that's the only bad thing I can say was obviously with 10 episodes things were kind of rushed, but it was still told the story in a way where even though it was rushed, it was pretty good. It was still pretty good. So what I'm going to say is Superman Lois for me gets a 9.5 out of 10 in its whole entirety because it was a great season, a great farewell. I love the send off they did for the character and how they explain the true meaning of what being Superman is all about. But you let me know in the comments down below what you thought and if you enjoyed my review of Superman Lois. You know what to do. You hit this button right here for all of my season 3 reactions and season 3 reaction for all of my reviews. And if you enjoyed the video so much you want to support the channel, all you gotta do is hit that like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, do all those great things because I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I need you guys' help to do so. And as always, any one of these videos for more of my amazing content, but don't go anywhere because we got more gameplay of Callisto Protocol for you guys. Peace.